Hi, Leo. Right from the start, this energy feels emotional, like someone's heart is finally opening after holding back for so long. There is love here, deep love, hidden love, the kind of love someone tried to resist, but now they're realizing they made a mistake by keeping it inside. Leo, this person may have stayed silent, but their feelings never disappeared. They miss your energy, they think about what could have been, and now their heart is starting to speak louder than their fear. Um, Something is shifting, something is softening, and this feels like a confession that can't stay buried anymore. So trust your intuition, take what resonates, leave the rest, and let's get into your reading. Okay, so what I'm really getting here is that for some of you, this is about a relationship that just wasn't stable. And at some point, you made the decision to turn your back on it, not out of anger, but for your own well being. And it's actually favorable, obviously, for those of you who made that decision to walk away, because it's allowing you to move towards something better, especially in terms of your environment, your atmosphere, and finding a real sense of peace in your daily life. Like just the fact that you turned your back on that situation, even if it was hard, it's already shifting things for you. You can feel that change starting to happen. And yes, you can see it clearly. There's real progression here. There's forward movement coming in. So it's not a bad thing that you walked away. It actually put you on a path that's much more aligned with your well being and your peace. Even if I think there was a very strong chemistry and attraction regarding this person, for your well being, I think that continuing to move forward isn't a bad thing. Because otherwise, you're going to stay stuck in this situation, or else the other person keeps you somehow also in something stuck. It's as if you were blocked, you see, as if the situation was slipping through your hands. You don't really have control over this, even if there was reciprocity there, even if there was a lot of love between you. And I feel like that's something you've had to come to terms with, even if it hasn't been easy. But we'll see. I have the sun here. So there is definitely a sense of letting go. There is this movement toward independence, toward reclaiming yourself within this situation. It's like choosing your own happiness again, choosing clarity, warmth, and something that feels lighter. There's an energy of renewal here where things start to feel more open, more positive, more aligned with who you truly are. By turning your back on it for your own well being to bring the necessary transformation, maybe by doing that, ultimately, well, you're going to allow yourself to go towards something where there's reciprocity. Because here it's as if I had someone who put you a little bit on the side of the road, on the side, you see. They don't give to you and you kind of suffer the situation. And you're no longer at all the master of the situation and of your life, you see. It's as if you lose your personal power a bit in the situation. Yeah, we made the choice here, so either recently or you made the choice not long ago, or in a short time too for some, why not? But it can also be that there was, why not, a certain amount of time that passed before taking this stance. To be seen, I had something else, but there was something else, but I don't know anymore. It's gone. When it's an intuition anyway, it leaves in 2 seconds, in a few seconds, that's it, it's gone. So here, what more can you tell me? Okay, so either it's someone who was committed or anyway, right? Even if there was a strong appeal, a strong attraction, protection is what is recommended to you in the situation, okay. But for me, I have the impression you've already left, or else you're going to be on the verge of leaving. For some, to turn your back on a situation. Yeah, to be able to progress, to elevate yourself. So we had the lotus earlier, it's reconfirmed here. Yeah, we're talking more about the feminine energies in the spread. It's as if you passed before going towards finding harmony in your life again, to finding happiness in your life again. You pass through the darkness, clearly. But it's this darkness, it's as if you went looking for the light in the end, because you had here a sort of transformation of a renewal by going towards a transformation in your life and find your happiness, find your harmony, to show you also what is essential for you too, Everything that was experienced, it was to show you the essential. You experienced quite a few dark things, difficult, somber things. It's possible that this is the case. It changed you, this transformation, this relationship excuse me, it changed you, transformed you. It's as if you went through very complicated phases, but it's to lead you to go looking somehow for your resource, your light, your own happiness too, to not depend on someone. Because you see, I have the abandonment card, which means, well, dependence, somehow emotional dependence. And there we have the flight over it. So we find our independence, you see. Yeah, there was a very strongly disturbed emotional state, but which also allowed it to be purified. And so we find a certain form of fluidity, right? So we clearly see that you're going to change internally, you're going to change emotionally. You've become much more fluid. It's as if you also follow the flow of life from now on. So there's a form of letting go all the same. So we clearly find the letting go at the end of the deck. I like that. I like that. Good for you. Following this choice that was made to turn your back, did you tell yourself, now I'm giving myself time to live my life peacefully? Why not? Also with these two cards there. It's possible that this is the case because it looks like there's a positioning. Or else for others, it's that you also understood somehow that you are in an internal process. Excuse me for the voice cracking. So there's indeed a process here that's being put in place, and you're giving yourself the time to go make these choices or to position yourself in your life. But anyway, there's already beginning of letting go. There's already progression. You're moving forward slowly but surely, as they say. Anyway, that's what I have here. Yeah, somehow it's as if you were armed to be able to face what's coming. But it can also be that you cut off something that was painful, and the reading takes that meaning with the cards, okay? I have the impression that they'd rather talk to me about you, in this reading, even if they remain cards rather connected to the relational aspect. But here I have the impression that, yeah, we're showing you a process. We come back to the feminine. Okay, we're talking about the family environment, loneliness. Ah, yes, okay, being hurt, suffering. I feel like for some, if there was a relationship in love, right, that you experienced with someone, but it came to set the record straight, but in all areas of your life on a relational level, you see, even at the level within the family for some, yeah, it's as if, well, exactly, you were maybe attracted to the other person because you lacked in your childhood as a child security, love, tenderness from your parents. As an adult, you repeat the pattern, you know the song by now, because it comes from the family environment, obviously here. And then there's something similar in terms of what you're experiencing with the other person. So something comes to be put right under your nose so that's taken into account and we work on it, okay? Because here it's as if there's also maybe a whole environment that we're moving away from because we don't want to suffer anymore. And from now on, we want to allow ourselves to give ourselves more gentleness from what is good for us. And it's as if finally we bring ourselves what we've missed for a long time. Okay. For some, we can even see non-recognition from your entourage. It's because being there is being put a little bit under a bell jar there. It's as if you were a little bit more the actor of your life, you see? And since fear takes over, it's as if they tried a little bit to have a hold over you, you see? There are lots of hands there, and here I have lots of hands around, you see? And they tell me, yes, what's more? So for me, you pass this milestone of a family entourage that's maybe no longer favorable to you, and that today you treat yourself with much more gentleness, tenderness, and benevolence. Something maybe that these people can't manage to give you or have never given you, by the way. And you learn to maybe be the parent of your inner child for yourself. And by giving yourself here this gentleness, this tenderness. Now, is it in other scenarios that you're really in a third-party situation? Because the family environment, it can also be what has also impacted your romantic relationship. And which means that you finally found yourself being pushed away from both, and that you have a partner who didn't prioritize you, who prioritized the family environment instead, but not you, right? You felt excluded, they're put aside. It must have hurt. We felt they're abandoned in the situation to the point where you yourself arrive at abandoning the situation, you see? And you went through this process to finally arrive at allowing yourself to be much more connected to yourself by being much more in gentleness and bringing yourself much more tenderness, benevolence, compassion, empathy, maybe something that you lacked for a long time in a toxic environment. Okay, but you knew how to rise. You don't want to let yourself be pushed around anymore, nor let yourself be walked over, nor let yourself be dominated. That doesn't work anymore. Even if it means staying practically alone, you see, because it's as if we couldn't manage to get reciprocity. As long as I don't get reciprocity where there's warmth, where it's relaxed, where there's this aspect exactly of gentleness, benevolence, compassion, well, we prefer to stay solo here. I have profiles, maybe even of certain people who are basically loners. But here it is even more so, in the reading. We practically prefer to stay alone than in bad company, you see. That's what I have here. Now you can go towards a reciprocity where it's relaxed, where it's favorable for you. Where there's an exchange, you see. So we can go there, but for that, indeed, we'll have to get out of this loneliness. But we'll have to move away from those who don't give it to you. For me, loneliness, I take it like this. It's that they don't give it to you. And so you move away to not be hurt anymore because from now on, your priority is your happiness. It's as if I told you you really experienced very difficult things. And it's confirmed. Being hurt, suffering, sadness, pain, crying. The nadir is even a dark night of the soul, you see, in the triad deck. But it's because you made this transformation to go look for your own happiness inside yourself. Hell of a journey, bravo. Here I have fighters, male and female fighters in the reading. Yeah, they didn't do the work for you. They didn't make the task easy for you, but it's to go learn. So that's the hardest part, is that it's a learning process. But in harshness, actually, and in suffering, it's because there was a lack of letting go too, on the other side of the fence. That's why we suffer so much. The more we struggle to let go, the harder it hits. Well, after that, we're human. We're not going to, it's like that. Sometimes you have to go through that to understand it in a slightly violent way, That's what I have anyway in the reading. The letting go of no longer here being in suffering, of no longer exactly being in lack, and I think that we stop adapting here because I have a wound of rejection with the mask, so I think that we stop adapting. But it can also be someone who rejected you while you abandoned them. They felt rejected. Possible also if we come back to the sentimental aspect, because there's the lack here, Someone who has trouble bearing a lack, it hurts. Well, then it happened because we were in this mask because of this wound of rejection. So either in flight, anyway, but that hurt someone a lot. But here, I think the fact that that's it. We went through this whole process. Now it's you who turns your back. And inevitably, the person in front feels rejected, and that creates a lack for them. And they know, they experience it badly too, just as you might have experienced it badly here, you see. There's a mirror effect all the same in the reading anyway. In any case, there's one that came to look for it differently in a wound of rejection, maybe the other rather abandonment. Right, we're going to gather up. We're going to see a little bit if we have other messages. No, I think I took a card, yeah. Indeed, the feminine doesn't want to let herself be pushed around anymore. She doesn't want to let herself be pushed around anymore. It didn't want to go back in the deck, you see. That's it. It took its place back. She doesn't want to hide anymore or not accept herself anymore, you see. You see, she's ready here. She's ready to accept herself. Come on. Are there other messages here to transmit in the sentimental aspect? We have lightning. We have health. We have no. We have reconciliation. And we have grounding. Well, we have no right in the middle. It's here. What do I have at the end? I have twin flames. Well, to be taken with a grain of salt. It can be a strong soul connection. That's what I can say. I avoid saying twin flames because often there are some who confuse a lot. The vast majority confuse a toxic relationship with soul connections. There could be a shared life here. So there could be, with the lightning card, unexpected things. Because is it for the health card? Is it for, have you experienced quite overwhelming events here? And that it completely touched even health, psychological, emotional health. So it can be physical, for some, why not? As if we were at a certain point no longer on the right path, you see. We were no longer on the right path. And there were these overwhelming, unexpected events that came somehow to look for us so that we pull ourselves together and heal ourselves, because we're still talking about health, And because we were no longer, somehow, we were no longer on the right path, you see? So, and here we talk about reconciliation. So maybe it can just be an appeasement that we finally find inside ourselves with all these parts that were divided in relation to all these upheavals that were experienced. Maybe in relation to this other person, but there can indeed be a reconciliation to be seen depending on the spread. And there you go. We find grounding, we find some stability in relation to what we are putting in place, in relation to how we are evolving today. Okay. Or else towards what you're also going, a reconciliation or an appeasement and stability. That's what you're going towards. Because there were all these upheavals, all these difficult things that were experienced internally because we were somehow no longer on the right path. And maybe there was also a refusal, from one to not accept the connection exactly, or the connection, the relationship. And on the other hand, there's a reconciliation maybe to come, or the fact of just finding appeasement inside oneself, and we still find our stability. It's as if with the no, the refusal that there could have been in relation to the other person, well, we went to go look for it ourselves. Okay. The no from the other helped you to take responsibility, maybe, right? Because we saw earlier with the card of dependence, abandonment, which is the dependent, the mask of the dependent. Well, the dependent ended up taking flight, finding their independence. So maybe it's because there was a no from that person. We clearly see that there's a reconciliation regarding a relationship that was completely unstable. But it's as if we knew how to shed light on the things that precisely weren't stable anymore. And we clearly see that even if there are still maybe a few layers where we're still kidding ourselves, nevertheless, things are evolving, are moving. So be careful that the ego doesn't make you believe the opposite here with the false person card. It's as if it's working, but in the background, and we don't necessarily know it. It's specific anyway, the reconciliation. I think that either it's really a reconciliation with the other, or it's the fact of finding an appeasement regarding a relationship that put you upside down, okay. And we clearly see that we shed light on what was maybe exactly hidden, buried inside oneself. We were kidding ourselves, we were projecting our flaws, our wounds onto the other too. And like that, that stayed in a posture of a victim and no longer a fighter. But earlier we had an obstacle course, so maybe you took things in hand. And it's moving, even if you don't necessarily see it, but it's moving. There could even be openings to come here. So, it came like that. I liked it like that. But me, I prefer to go see them one by one here, okay? So here, the unexpected events, it's because there was quite a bit, maybe, of dependence on the other exactly. And it's as if it hit hard, When it hit hard. And there could also be, why not, consequently love at first sight. And consequently, bam, bam, boom, it's as if you were given a shot of stuff there and you were in hyper-obsessed mode with someone because it came like a cocktail. It came to awaken a whole bunch of sensations and emotions. And you want to find that again, actually, with the other. You see, it brought that back to you. It's as if you were given a shot and it put you in such an incredible wow state that you were practically trying to look for this shot through the other person instead of you maybe developing it in yourself, you see. That's maybe also the dependence regarding the other. There could have totally been completely unexpected things too, to be able somehow maybe to break this addiction, break this dependence on the other. Yeah, because we're dealing with someone who stayed very superficial towards you, and consequently that put you in patterns, maybe even karmic patterns there. We can even show you, you see, memories that can wake up. Things that can come back to the surface, but that you carry. There are traumas here, there are certain traumas that came back to the surface to be maybe worked on deeply. Because we still talk about superficiality. It can really be the attitude of someone, but who maybe practically didn't pay attention to you, indifferent. But since there was a history, something like that connected, karmically speaking, to this person, it came to really do a clearings on you. But I think you went through the ringer here, for some. There was a ringing in the air because there were all these traumas, karmic and unconscious, that we carry as a memory, and which came to be brought back to the surface because of this person who didn't give you things to go maybe look for them by yourself. Okay, because the person, they stayed very superficial towards you. And so they didn't get involved with you. And if we have an emotional dependency, well, inevitably that creates even more the lack or the suffering, so that we leave somehow suffering patterns too with this card there. But there can also be a karmic relationship, which afterwards, anyway, in this kind of connection, there's karma anyway, which comes from past lives, which needs to be purged, anyway. But in the mix, there could be a third person with whom there is a karmic relationship, and we take it. We pay a heavy price, I want to say as well. So here, no to passion, no to the other. Well, you see, we have the flame. We have two flames. So yeah, it's as if there was someone who didn't want this connection, didn't want this relationship, didn't want you, maybe not you directly, but anyway, indirectly, didn't want the relationship. Because maybe it generated exactly that karmically as a trauma, or energetically speaking, it was unpleasant for this person because it could have brought things back to the surface for them too. Whereas we're dealing more with someone, darn it, who stays rather quite superficial, light in their exchanges, isn't going to go touch too much into their emotional side. But here, since there is heavy karma with you, or something traumatic anyway on an energetic level, well, they take it. But like a tsunami to the face, you see. And that's why there's the attraction repulsion side, you see. And that's why maybe we had this no ultimately in the reading, even if somehow the no also leads us to not necessarily be on the right path. And we also take things in the face too. So here, what do we have here? Oh my. So yeah, there were quite a few regrets, regarding maybe harmful, toxic behaviors. Well, maybe that, yeah, with hindsight, time, we tell ourselves, but damn, but why did I behave like that? But it was completely stupid. I should have never gotten into it. Maybe also it's so heavy, it's so complicated, the work that certain soul connections require, that we tell ourselves, but damn, but why did I embark on this adventure? You see, it's a little bit what I have here, but it's because there was also quite a bit of toxicity. So we can also regret certain behaviors that we could have had, certain attitudes. And we look at it because maybe today we want a reconciliation. Is it the other person who wants a reconciliation because they behaved badly? And that there we have the surely okay. There could be that in this reading. We're going to go see here a little more anyway on this reconciliation. What can we give? Because we can see it here, It's as if maybe someone at a certain point had kid themselves and stayed in unstable situations, or anyway, maintained your situation, your relationship unstable. And then here, I think that they are currently seeing things clearly in the situation. And that's what's going to unblock something, because that's going to create an opening. That's going to create an opening because maybe someone precisely stops kidding themselves, stops maybe getting embarked on another path, because they're at a certain point, the person, when they put a no regarding this relationship to this connection, they were no longer on the right path. Now, careful, let's be clear, nobody belongs to you, It's not because there is a soul connection that it justifies that the other must belong to you. Absolutely not. Nobody on this earth belongs to you, and you belong to nobody either. It's vice versa. So let's be very clear, So be careful, because sometimes it goes so far into delusions. That's why I don't even dare say this word on the channel anymore. Now that, phew, it's intense. There you go. So be careful anyway. For me, that's what I describe. If you are really only in a toxic relationship, because either you really have to deal with people who are just toxic, who are there to make you work. It can be possible. Be careful not to confuse them with a certain soul connection, or else with a narcissistic abuser, then there it's the ultimate. So you really, really have to be careful. With a narcissistic abuser, you stay only in the dark. You aren't going to look for your light. You aren't going towards your light. And often the two work, right? When you're really in a duo, the two work. When you're facing a narcissistic abuser or a toxic person, often the other, they don't rise. They stay at the same level. They stay at the same stage. And aside from syncing you with them, there's nothing to be done. So the nuance and the difference is there. Here I see more me, someone who maybe also who is understanding the blunder or the blunders they could have made towards you, you see. and hence the regrets regarding maybe behaviors or toxic things they could have had towards you. An attitude of basically, I don't care. An attitude of someone who, you don't matter to me. A form of indifference. While the person, they don't make you at all their priority. While at the same time, it's behaviors, when we come to touch on soul connections, it's behaviors sometimes that are there, it's done on purpose, so that precisely a dependency on the other side of the fence is taken care of. That's why it isn't so facilitated actually in this kind of connection we clearly see. It's to bring about transformation, and here we clearly see that maybe indeed this person, there's a transformation here. Me, I'm talking to people where there is a transformation when they tell me, yeah, but they'll never evolve, the person that you know X. Maybe the reading actually isn't for you, quite simply, okay. Afterward, I don't say, indeed, it's true that there are certain people when they are just toxic, that there isn't necessarily a soul connection, yes. Well, maybe it isn't that they'll never evolve. It's that they won't evolve in relation to you, but they can evolve the person in their life. Careful, never condemn anyone. They might not evolve in relation to what you expect or in relation to the direction that you take, right? They might not necessarily evolve in relation to that, but they can evolve on their end in relation to other things, right? So we aren't here to condemn. So they're indeed me, the person I'm addressing anyway, regarding the one I describe in the cards. They knew how to do the work, a journey, and go into regret, regarding their way of having behaved, because they change, right? They transform. What can you tell me here on the grounding? And well, there you go. We find the happiness from earlier. So there is indeed here the fact of the more we are in this harmony, the more we are in this appeasement, in this serenity, and the more we anchor ourselves and the more we are well and the more solid we are and the more we prioritize our own happiness and the more we solidify ourselves over time, from what I have anyway here. And then it's as if now you're going to also put somehow in your roots, in this tree, in relation to its roots, you're going to put love, gentleness, joy of life. You see joy of life here. So you're going to bring something good for you, something that satisfies you, something that pleases you, maybe that up until now you didn't dare do, but now you're going to dare to do it, you see? So there's going to be this happiness there actually of solidifying it, of rooting it, it's your path, it's your way, it's already there for some. But it's very favorable. And here, what more can you tell me about this reconciliation? Yeah, something that had stopped, regarding something that stopped. For me, the reconciliation here, it stopped because it was necessary to do this process, do this work. I really wasn't expecting, finally, it's really a soul connection reading, I think I'll put it in that category, this spread in soul connections, because we really have that here in this reading. So even if I'm going to put, there you go. It's because there are really wounds to take in hand, to take charge of. Yeah, it took time, maybe it will take for some still some time, possible. Anyway, if you arrive here at this happiness, now it's up to them to get there to join you, you see. That's maybe this notion of patience, going to just cover the false person. Yeah, that's it. It's as if I think that precisely what was buried, for me, it's an end of cycle. It ends. Or they are in the process of finishing with that, actually. This mask there, or what they hid, or what they concealed. Or this lack of authenticity. Because we are in the process of meditating on the situation. We are in the process of being in observation, too, of what must also somehow end and change and be transformed, okay, with the Omega card. So there's really a process that is in the process of really being put in place. But really, for once, so we let go of the illusions. We get out somehow, too, of the illusion. You see, the false person, it's that, too, possible that it's the case. So we let go of the illusions and we face reality, and that's thanks to meditation. Because we put ourselves in a posture of observer, of observation. Yeah, there's the protection side that comes up for me anyway. The situation is protected. What we're just going to see here. So there is indeed here a very strong chemistry, still anyway, despite all the trials, I think the chemistry, the attraction is still there and still attractive. And I think it was necessary through all this to get to know each other. But in your depths, meaning you knew yourself already individually. This situation allowed you to learn anyway, to learn yourself and to define what is important to you, to define also what you want, what you no longer want from now on, and after, to rediscover yourselves, right? Because you knew each other through your wounded ego filter. And for me, seeing that there was this whole process, you're going to relearn the other, right? And the other is going to relearn to know you too, yeah? Because there were really problematic family things, right? Maybe also to resolve in the mix, why not? Anyway, when it comes to touch on karma like that, I don't doubt it. Because it comes to look for, right? Everything that was also experienced. What we carried before, but that the soul connection puts you face to face with. And anyway, all encounters put us face to face with our wounds, of course. Now that when there's something karmically speaking, or something anyway quite striking regarding certain histories. I don't know why there are certain histories, they are stronger than others, that's true. I don't know what is the soul connection really that hides behind it, nor the why of all that. As I told you, I question spirituality a lot too. Now, it's true that there are certain people who mark us more than others, because there's a learning process behind these relationships actually, you see. So for me, even a classic relationship can be for you already a learning process. But here it's true that we are shown rather a connection a bit more specific all the same in the reading, because the person they seem to be more important to you